A starter house is definitely one of the first things you will build in a survival world, and therefore probably one of the most important things that you'll build in a survival mode. So today's video is going to be pretty short. I'm going to be showing you how to build a starter house in Minecraft. It is actually quite simple. All you're going to need is the materials that you see in my hotbar right now. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make a shape like this out of your dirt blocks. It's all quite nice and easy to acquire. Drop that. Then you have to place one there. Place a crafting table there. Place a furnace here. Place a door here. And boom! There we go. You got a starter house. Yes. It's a starter house. Though that dirt house back there does work, you probably want to be able to build a nice starter house for your creative/survival endeavors. So that's where I come in. I get it, you might not have any inspiration, or you might just not even be able to build a house. So here are 5 survival starter base ideas to get just inspiration, and yeah, let's get straight into it. Here is design number 1. You can see here it is quite small. It has some controversial materials that you might not find, but you can find them out there if you look around enough. The materials you'll need spruce wood, and you will need these dark oak planks. And I have just attached a little farm right here. This house is looking pretty nice as the first one on our list. And if you go inside here, you can find just a little starter base. Keep in mind, these don't have any specific order, so they're not rated by the best I think they look or how resource consuming and big they actually are. And if you go down here, you can even make a little basement with like brewing and stuff and an enchantment table. I know those are pretty late game, but I was just trying to fill these houses, and pretty much every one of the houses has them except for maybe 1 or 2. And these are barrier blocks, which you can only get through commands, and you probably won't get them in a legitimate survival world. But I just added them here for kind of aesthetics purposes. So let's go back up to the very top and move on to our next house. This one is probably one of the biggest and most resource consuming, as it requires a lot of terracotta and bricks, which you have to make with clay, which is a relatively rare block. But this one, out of all these houses, is probably my favorite one, because I just really like the look of like the materials contrast and everything kind of like that. And when you go inside, I've designed this little area with chests that has labels and stuff, and there's a carpet and some furnaces over here. And I actually really like this top floor with like the bars here, these kind of wooden logs that go across the ceiling, and it's in 1 or 2 of these houses. And here are some more labeled chests with potions, food, redstone, miscellaneous, whatever. And here is a little, a little enchantment area, and here's a bed. And also here we have some of these things. Keep in mind, you don't actually have to design these exactly the way I do, and heck, you don't even have to build these structures. I just was trying to get some inspiration, and the interiors are entirely up to you, and so are the exteriors actually, but you can do this if you want. Moving on to this next one, which as you can see is a little modern house. It's probably one of the only modern houses I've built, because I don't actually consider modern building any of my strong suits, but I think this actually worked pretty well. And while I was supposed to be building these 2 houses, I just spent hours walking up and down this pressure plate pathway, because just listen, it's so fun to listen to. You can see how people would do that. And moving on and looking at the interior of the house, I made the whole thing pretty open concept with a bunch of stuff. It doesn't actually have that much space, but heck, it's a starter base. It doesn't really matter. this one is pretty resource consuming. You don't have to use iron in these builds because getting all this iron will take a while, and snow is also a hard block to find, as you need to go to a tundra, a mountain, or anything like that to get it. But you can always substitute these blocks for white concrete or whatever blocks you think will look good on this build. This top floor I honestly don't really like that much, but it works out, and quartz is definitely not something you would have in a starter base because you have to find that in the nether, and the nether's more of a middle game type thing. Moving on to the next house, which is probably my least favorite of the few of these houses, probably just because of its lack of detail. I think it could use more material contrasting, and it does take up quite a lot of resources because you have these stripped oak logs or whatever logs you're using, but those can easily be replaced with planks, which will definitely take up a lot less space. One of the things I do like about this build is this roof, how it is a kind of gable roof, and then it kind of slants a bit at a less steep angle right here, and I love building these little attic window things, even though there's no attic for it to actually be in. The problem with this house is there's not actually much space for with all these resources that are being used. And as you can see, I just built a little small area with a not even full enchanting room. It has like a little bed area. I really like the design of this carpet, but I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here. You can see, like in that old house, the other house, you can see these logs that I'm using for this build. In here, you can just see chests which are empty because I didn't really bother filling them. And yeah, this interior and this house isn't really much to see. So moving on to the one that is the last but not least, the final house, which is probably my second favorite, only second to that house right there, as I really like medieval style builds. I honestly think if I could have spent a little more time on this house, and I could have made it a lot better than it actually looks, but that's okay. I really like the way I did this garden with the coarse dirt and this podzol. Podzol's optional, and you can only really get it if you are in one of those like giant spruce forest biomes, and even if you don't have silk touch, you can just do a line of just make a line of dirt to the podzol and just kind of all connect all of these up, and eventually all that dirt will grow into podzol. But these, make sure there's no grass around it though. But here we have the coarse dirt. One of the things I love about coarse dirt is that it doesn't grow grass on it, and I just added these little grass things which you can get with shears and silk touch, I think, with just the creative inventory and stuff. Now when we move on to the actual interior of the build, it is quite small. It has just a chest, a bed, and some other stuff, and just a very tall staircase going up the roof. I honestly couldn't figure out any way to utilize this tower for the actual build, so I just did a kind of staircase that you have to just wind up to get to the top, and I just fell off that staircase. You see, this staircase isn't well designed because I keep falling off of it, and when I just go up here, you can see at the top a little nice little design I did that has a cauldron, an anvil, and then a fire thing. I use netherrack just for the purposes of it not being put out by the time I get to this build. But if you don't have netherrack, which you probably won't if this is a starter base, then you would probably just use any flammable item that you would replace every time you want this to be set on fire. Now, there's one more feature in this build that I want to show you guys, so I'm just going to drop down here, and you've probably been wondering, why is there a trapdoor here? It's another basement in the house that I'm just going to close right there, and as you can see, it's a little potions room, which I like, and it's probably one of my favorite features of this build. This chest thing, having them not connect, took a while, but eventually I figured out how to do it. Of course, you could use like the set block command to do that, but honestly, the way I did it was easier. And if you go in here, there's a small little enchanting room that has quite a lot of bookshelves, and I haven't actually tried enchanting anything with this little room, but with all the little weird symbols that are going to this enchanting table, I probably think that it would be pretty good. And also there's a little area with a potion of healing in it. And yeah, that is probably it for this little house. This video has been shorter than I expected, but that is it for 5 Minecraft starter house designs. Well, everyone, thank you so much for watching this video, 5 starter house designs in Minecraft. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more content like this, as it will really, really help me. That's honestly it for this video. I honestly think I really like all these little designs, and it was really fun to build them. And yeah, that's pretty much it, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.